Alright, so today I'm going to get the shifter in for the last time and all hooked up, the linkages, because now the clutch and everything's good and working good. This is the next thing on, and when I made this I tried to make, because it's such a monster shifter, I tried to make sure that it was serviceable so I could take the shifter in and out. So it's a little more oversized than it probably should be, and then I'm going to make a top plate for it once it's all in. But yeah, so everything else is looking good. Brake's not hooked up, so the clutch is really nice. Alright, so got the shifter out. I had all the linkages adjusted and everything's good, so I don't really have to mess around with any of that. Something I've been practicing working on is making my own shift knobs. I just had a couple of hollow points laying around, some 45s, so I made a silicon mold a long time ago, and because I've got a very special shift knob that I haven't showed you guys yet, so I'll wait till the car is finished and I'll pull it out. But this is one of the earlier practice jobs that I wanted to do, just practicing setting stuff in resin. Put a lot of time and effort into trying to figure out how to do this right. I'm doing multiple pours and how to set stuff without it sinking, and so the bottom half would cure and stuff. This one's a little, I was just seeing how things would go when I'd sand it and stuff like that in the finish, because the one that I got that I've ended up with, it's pretty special, so I only really have one of them. So I've probably been doing this for maybe 2 years or something, making these things. I got a bunch of different ones or whatever, but I think it's going to be pretty cool, and it's been a fun little project. Definitely hard and a serious learning curve to it, you know. Everything from making the mold. I used the cue ball to make the silicone in 2 parts, but you know, getting it and figuring out to get rid of this parting line here. You have to cut a keyway into the silicone mold so it lines up every time. So that's what that is essentially just a ghetto keyway that I put in there. But anyway, that one worked. A couple of things. This was an early one, and you can see it cracked here. I had too much, just a little too much catalyst in there, so it got too hot, and it tried to cure too quick, and you get cracking. But that's a whole other series of videos. But anyway, hey guys, got a mess in here. I usually don't try to keep a pretty clean workbench, but it's just got away from me this weekend because I've been in and out of here. I'm gonna throw on my oil pump housing. I mean, it's not very exciting, but I thought I'd just give a little tip what I like to do. It's worked out pretty good for me. For you Pontiac guys, is I just run the RTV on the face side of the oil filter housing, and then the gasket, and then I just clean the block really good, and then bolt it down, and then that really helps me for in situations where you're pulling headers and maybe this is in the way or whatever. You unbolt it, and it pulls free straight away from the motor, and you don't have to climb down there and scrape the gasket off, because you only have to scrape it off this side. So hasn't been a problem. I first thought that it might have leaked when I tried that, but so far so good. So worth doing if you're doing this sort of thing. Alright, cheers. So there it is, and now I'll just bolt on the side of the block like that, and then anytime I need to pull it off, it's never a problem on the engine side. And then I can just clean this up when it's on the bench, which is just much easier than laying down under there and doing it. Alright, cheers. Okay, today I'm going to try and cut out some of this rusty window channel. It's pretty good the whole way. There's a little bit here, this corner. It's all good the whole long. The window used to leak there. I used to remember when I drive it, so it's pretty obvious. There's a tiny little pit there that I might be able to just zap, and the other side's pretty good too. So it'll probably end up being 2 pieces maximum, maybe 3. This was left from the sandblaster, so I assume the sandblaster would have taken any other thin metal with it. So I'm hoping I can save that trim pin and go this far out and not have any problems when I weld it back in. But alright, we'll see how we go. Okay, got this guy cut out. I think I was fortunate enough to not land on this spot that actually had a spot weld on it, so that's nice. So I'll get in here and clean this up and spray some stuff down in there as far as I can get. Everything else looks really good, so it really was just this top piece. So I'll scuff that back and then get to making a little patch for this guy. All right, cheers. Okay, so got it all ground down, cleaned out, sprayed some Rust-Oleum up in there, and then some weld-through primer. All right, got the patch clamped in. I think it fits pretty good. It follows. I don't know. It's hard to get the camera in there. It conforms pretty well, anyway. I think. A little wide up there where I had to put the drill to get the body saw in to do the vertical cuts. But yeah, I think I'll be alright. It's nice and flush, so I'll just zap it and build it up. And some ZZ Top on the radio, so a better time to go for it. Okay, so there it is. It's a little bumpy. I mean, it's not perfectly smooth, but the problem was I only had some 22 gauge, so that's just fairly thin, so I didn't want to lay onto it. I normally wouldn't use that, but up in the channel, it's really just there as a patch. There's not really much strength or anything going on, so yeah, I mean, it looks better than the pitted out stuff either side of it, so I think that's going to work out fine. Next one up to this guy, and then everything else is done. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this. This is the only other hole, but I can't tell. I'll have to grind it all out. I can't tell how much of this is actually rust, or if it was like there was a seam there and this is a combination of lead and seam sealer. I don't know if anyone knows if these were actually joined butt to butt in here, or if it was lead and seam sealer. I'm not sure. I'll grind all this old seam sealer out at some point, but once again, this is what came up after the blaster, and you can see where it ate into the lead a little bit there, which was fine. Filler will cover that. I'm not going to try and grind that out and re-lead that for no reason. But I think that's officially the last two. This guy here and this guy here, I think, is the last two actual holes in the car as far as rust and everything. So it's coming along. And I don't know if it's too dark in here, but finished up everything for the shifter. So cool part is now that the clutch works, I can actually use it. I got everything adjusted, all the positive stops. So with the clutch in, it's pretty cool. So first, and that's all 4 gears, so it's pretty awesome. I couldn't set it up. I couldn't move it through all the gears to set all the positive stops on the shifter itself until now that the clutch works. So I can roll through all the gears, but it's really nice. So feels good, looks good, sounds good. Good news. That's about where we're at. I'm trying to do more consistent updates for more content. So, because sometimes it'll take me a month to do a 15-minute video. So if I can still get a 10-minute movie out of it, and it's every couple of weeks, I think it's probably better. Makes me feel better about progress anyways. The other thing that's killing me is just this here, because I know that it won't take much effort to start it and get it running, but that's another whole other side thing. I want to get more done on this before I even start. I know I could probably at least attempt to get this thing to fire in an afternoon, but I'm just trying to stick with this at the moment, just feel a little bit better about how much progress I've made before I start messing with that. But as it sits right now, I think the plan is to just tag it and just cruise it for the summer as is. Daily it, it'll be fun. But we'll keep going on this as much as I can. Get those rust holes done next weekend. And I hate to say it, but I think I'm getting close to actually doing bodywork finally. We got the hood. This is the dash out of it. Needs a bit of work like everything, but I think that'll be fun to attempt to fix. So yeah, seem to have all these cars that are shitty gold. 3 pieces left. I can't blast that because that's plastic. So I'll just be sanding and scuffing that. I don't think there's any filler or anything in it, so I don't really need to strip it all the way. This and the filler. So really 2 things to blast. And then I'm on to panel alignment maybe. Maybe that's the next step. Just sort of look for final fit. And then start figuring out, you know, all the little stuff. Pretty good. Alright, thanks for checking it out, guys. Cheers. This is a question for maybe Tom Noble or anyone. Someone may know this. Picked this guy up at a estate sale just around the corner on my way home the other day. Got it for 15 bucks. Pretty awesome. I don't really know how it works. The theory is there's a handle on the bottom, so I can't get the top off right now. The thing's really seized up, but I figured there's some kind of like canister or some kind of cage or something that holds some kind of chemical, and then you probably fill it X amount to wherever, and then when you turn it upside down it all activates. But the question is, it says soda on there, so soda acid, I don't know, is that something you can even get? Like, I don't know anything about this stuff. Can I just buy that stuff, or is this they don't make it anymore, or is California giving me shit about it? But anyway, I thought it was super cool, but it'd be even more super cool if it was actually usable. I guess by the way the nozzle's on the top here and everything, I figured that that's the whole upside down thing. It's full. I mean, it's got a lot of water in it, so I don't know how long that's been in there or whatever. But if anyone knows what stuff this takes, it says something about to charge this guy to empty acid bottle. So I don't know. What's it? What is the acid bottle? Is it something that hooks at the top? Can I get one of those? Do they exist? You guys probably know more than I do about how this stuff works. But anyway, it's old and it's cool because we all like old, cool shit. And it's got a little local stamp on it. So yeah, if anyone knows what's up with that, let me know. All right, cheers.